This is Dante's Rebellion from Devil May Cry. But just how effective is Dante's sword in real life? I'll be testing out some of Dante's moves to see just how effective they could be in our world. But first, let's take an actual look at the Rebellion sword design. Now, if you take a look at the Rebellion's handle, it would be a lot better to use this sword two-handed. Although you do see Dante wielding this sword sometimes with just one hand. With the weight on it, if you're strong enough to wield it, it's not that much of a mission to do some one-handed strikes, but it would be recommended to do two-handed because with the weight on it, it still is pretty heavy and you might not be as effective with some of those one-handed strikes. But the handle does have some really bad cons. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. The pommel is not gonna be the safest for the wielder. Even me just wielding this thing and swing it around, I actually cut my hand and one of those pieces right here just punctured through. As for functionality, this could be used as a weapon actually to deal damage to the opponent, but at the end of the day, the wielder has to be really careful with this piece because if you were to hit your head or any part of your body, it wouldn't be a good time. If you are picking up the Rebellion, be very careful with the pommel and even doing some of the lower grips at the end of the handle. If this thing even touches you a little bit, it might actually puncture through or slice your hand like it happened to me a little while ago. Now, if you take a look at the actual hand guard, it has a really good cross guard, but this piece right here with the horns wouldn't really be the best for the wielder because with some of the strikes, these things are gonna really push into your hand if you have it all the way up. Now, it does feel good if you have the hand up here right on the horns to where it's going around your thumb and your first finger, but if you were to take any type of impact, that might really cause an injury to the wielder. So as for the handle on the Rebellion, pommel is definitely the worst, but the horns can be managed and you can probably do some techniques to where you can get around that part and maybe hold it a little bit lower on the handle so that you don't really take any damage to yourself. So as for the actual sword's design, it's not that bad. If you look at it, it's almost like a regular longsword, except it has these cutouts right here where it might hinder you from doing some full-on cuts. If you were to hit with this part of the sword, it wouldn't really slice all the way through. But if you were to do some thrusting with the way it's designed, I don't think it would cause that much of an issue. The only thing is when you get closer to this piece right here, that may be a problem if you were to go thrust too deeply into a target, just like Nero's sword, the Red Queen. I think it might actually get stuck onto your target. So as for the Rebellion, I don't think it's a bad weapon at all. The weight distribution is not too crazy on this. It feels really good to wield one-handed or even two-handed. The blade on this thing I think would do really well for cutting things and bashing through armor. The only thing I do think is a major con on it, as I said, was the pommel. But other than that, this is a pretty good sword. But we're gonna have to check out some of Dante's actual moveset and combos to see how those would do in our world. Now the Stinger. This one-handing, I don't think is the best idea. With the weight on it, if you were to really thrust something like this, I think that the possibilities of you catching your opponent and actually making contact strong enough to deal damage, I don't think would be the best option with this type of a sword. The weight on it is just too much, and if you manage to miss or somebody blocks your weapon and your pommel hits your hand or arm, that could really stop the fight, and the other person might win that one. So as for the Million Stab and the Stinger, I advise doing it with two hands rather than with just one hand like Dante. Let's test out combo A with the Rebellion. That's it. Has to be that last spin. So combo A. Down, he comes up, and then here. All right, that's it. I think I got it. Let's do it one more time. That final spin is not the best idea. As for the first two moves, coming down with the two hands, then coming back up, this is good, but once he does this, turning the back, you already know in a sword fight, it's not the best idea. And that one-handed swing, you gotta really be careful, because if you give out midway, the pommel could easily hit your arm and you could definitely injure yourself. So combo A, not that bad, but it can be modified. I think that would be a little bit better without the spin. All right, combo B. This one's kind of crazy. I don't know if I'll be able to pull off that million stab at the end, but I'm gonna try. Yeah, no. Million stab, unless you got the devil trigger, don't even try it. That was a bad idea. Stinger. The stinger, yeah, but the million stab, no. Stinger, I think, can be pulled off, but once you do that extra stab, that sword with one hand just wants to drop. So million stab, I wouldn't really do in real life, but stinger, maybe if you were to do it with two hands, that would be a lot better of a thrust than just doing it with one hand and leaving yourself very open if you miss. Unless you manage to do the stinger one hand and then come over with another strike, that might work. But if you were to just do the stinger and then go into another stab, it's not gonna work out. Now, helm breaker. This one, I think if you were to jump down from a high point and drop down on somebody with that overhead strike, that would definitely do some real damage, but I don't think that the helm breaker would be the best move to pull off. You're better off just doing a regular overhead strike and keeping your guard up. Now the move high time, where Dante kind of launches his enemies up in the air to continue his combos. That one, I think, could work. If you were to do this kind of an upper strike with this big of a sword, I don't think it's a problem. The only thing is, you definitely do gotta be ready, if you miss, to come down with a different strike. So, as for the high time on the ground, upper strike like this, I think could work. Now, as for a jumping one where Dante just rushes up to the sky with the enemy and continues his combos, I don't think would work in our world, but even if you were to do like an upper strike with a jump, I don't think would be the best idea. But if you were to stay grounded and really do an upper strike, this sword feels good for those kinds of strikes, as well as any other regular strike that you would be doing with the longsword. As for some of the moves Dante has in his combo list, I don't think they're that bad, but definitely would advise against some of them because the weight on the sword wouldn't really let you pull off those moves like Dante can. So what do you think? Would you use the Rebellion or would you choose a different weapon? Let me know in the comments if you want me to cover a different one in my next video.